In 2003, government okayed buying of 66 Hawk 115 AJT aircraft. In 2008, from 2008 to 2010, the accused got a nod for HAL, which is the Hindustan Aviation Limited, to make 57 extra Hawk aircrafts for 9.5 thousand crore rupees. This is what the CBI is claiming. And also, the CBI says the accused conspired with public servants to hike the number of aircraft and get license fee raised by paying kickbacks to intermediaries from 2008 to 2010.
So this Hawkeye deal, or the Hawk deal that we are talking about, it's a weapon system from the British Aeronautics this thing, BAE Systems, British Aerospace Systems. Now, this particular deal happened at a time when, Kabir, do you remember that there was a lot of issues about our pilots making a sudden jump from a subsonic aircraft to a supersonic aircraft? And what was the supersonic aircraft that they were making the jump into? They were moving straight away to a MiG-21. And then we talked about, how it is very difficult to manage a supersonic aircraft like a MiG-21. And in the late 90s to early 2000, there were in fact deaths also reported of pilots. So there was this huge gap for this advanced jet trainer, which was a supersonic aircraft. So that from an intermediate jet trainer, they would move to a supersonic jet trainer, and from then to the fighter aircrafts that we are in our inventory. Now, a lot of people said that this is a critical space which is being kept vacant, and therefore there was a huge process that was going on to in fact fill up that critical space, because it's the matter of lives and these people needed to be trained on it. And finally they came to this position that BAE's Hawk would be something that would fit the bill. There was talk about transfer of technology and other things associated with that particular deal, and also license production was something, as you rightly pointed out, was something that we were looking at. So we were able to license to immediately fill that gap for advanced jet trainers. We were immediately able to go ahead and sign this deal, and then we have the BAE allowing us the production rights to it, and a license production had taken place, and also a joint production has taken place where the HAL has advanced the existing system, and we call it the Hawk-Eye, which is the advanced system of this thing, and we are looking to sell it to third-party countries as well. Now, where does this entire thing come to light? This entire thing comes to light is three names I will put it across. Tim Johns, who was the then director, Rolls-Royce British Aerospace Systems. The CBI has registered a case against the British Aerospace System, Rolls-Royce, its then director Tim Johns, who allegedly, and two alleged middlemen, Sudhir Chaudhary and his son Banu Chaudhary, and unknown Indian public servants, for alleged corruption during 2003 to 2012 in the procurement of the Hawk aircraft. So here what we are seeing is that there are two arms dealers who are said to have not registered themselves. They were acting as middlemen. They were not registered with the company, and then you have the company director himself who's been named in this. And they are saying that they crease the palms of certain officials within our defense establishment to give a favorable verdict, or to say that this particular aircraft is good to be inducted into the armed forces and to be given training to the pilots, and they gave it more preference than the other competitors that were there, and they gave a favorable report to ensure that the government went ahead with the deal. This is what they said. Basically, they influenced or worked to ensure that BAE's Hawk would be given a favorable decision from the government. So, it's a huge process when it comes to acquiring a foreign system. India would be looking at a lot of things like transfer of technology, which is one of the common things that we'll be looking at. License production is something common we'll be looking at, and probably the ability to joint produce and sell it to third countries is also something that we'll be looking at. And since we didn't have a AJT, that is an advanced jet trainer, this was a very big issue, and it was of the day, and people were looking to ensure that gap was filled. So they went ahead with the deal. But now it looks like this is another Bofors that is smoking from inside now, because it looks like a lot of people had compromised their integrity while giving that report, or that favorable report, to get this system into the country.
How deep is the rot in that case? Because you see, a continuation of the top headline on the front page says the graft could have come to light between 06, 07, but the accused got the files destroyed.
That is, in fact, I went through that also. In an income tax raid, I think that was during the income tax raid where the agencies got hold of these payments from Rolls-Royce, and they had some idea about something going completely different when it comes to it.
We were just playing the image of the Hawk aircraft as well. Tell the viewers, how much do we use the Hawk, the advanced trainer aircraft?
See, it is an aircraft that has been, for example, as I told you, a pilot starts with the rotor plane, gets basic flying skills, then slowly
The
advances.
Cessnas.
Yeah, the small HTP, I mean, some of these small rotor planes is where they start
Right.
off with. They get basic flying skills in it. Later, they keep advancing themselves. They go with a subsonic, and then they go to an intermediate jet trainer, and then they move to a supersonic trainer. Then they move to the inventory. They are trained on to the inventory that we have, supersonic fighter aircrafts that we have. But what happened was that from especially between the end of 2000 and this thing, we did not have a supersonic aircraft to train them on, and because they were making a huge leaps, and there was this skill gaps that was noticed, and the pilots required that kind of training. You can't just put someone who's on a supersonic aircraft like the MiG-21, which is a very, very, if you ask any Air Force person, he will tell you it's a very testing aircraft. You have to be optimum when it comes to your skills in managing a MiG-21, and it's also a legacy aircraft. So to be on that, you need to have some kind of skills with the supersonic aircraft. It's not like suddenly you can go and go ahead and fly this. So they got this aircraft to ensure that this Hawk aircraft would meet that skill gap. It can be lightly armed as well. It can be armed as well. So it is something that can be armed as well, and it gave you that requisite skills to handle a supersonic aircraft. So the pilots, after training this, they went into other higher aircrafts like a MiG-21 or a Sukhoi 30 or a MiG-29, or all into this supersonic aircraft, fighter crafts that we would call, or multi-attack aircraft that they would be going into. So it was a very crucial step to have this aircraft. So it's in use. And the use in the sense that pilots have to be trained on it, so it's very much in use. But what bothers me, Kabir, is that why is it when we have a high-end system, whenever it is incorporated into our defense structure, we always come across these payments, these middlemen, and middlemen have been part of India's defense deals for quite some time. Any case you look at, you have a middleman's name coming up all of a sudden. Why is it so? Because India's foreign deals are still very lucrative. We are more of a country that is, licensed production. We are not creating the technology.
Take a look at this. Exactly from what you said. It says a Crown judgment of 2017 revealed concealment of involvement of intermediaries in the defense business in India between 2005 and 2009 by Rolls-Royce, despite restrictions by the government.
So that's
intermediaries.
See, Rolls-Royce name is coming out right now, but there are several companies that Indian government has been blacklisting because of the use of intermediaries, in the use of unfair trade practices, if I can say, to influence the government to go for a big deal. Why is it so? Because India's defense deals are actually very lucrative. We have not yet, in fact, this government has been trying, and other governments have also been trying to ensure that indigenous component is in fact increased, or rather we have a licensed production. That has been the way we have been doing it. Licensed production from Russia's, we hold a lot of licenses from Russia to produce top-end aircraft, and they also have been kind enough to have TOTs with us, or a transfer of technologies with us, and we have been looking at that. So a lot of companies have realized that they should have middlemen to go through some of, or to negotiate through some of these deep defense systems and officers. So what they do is that these unscrupulous middlemen are the ones who are in between a deal, and they see, maybe that system might be good, might be bad, but the process in fact gives the wrong impression that you have to grease palms and then only a system can be brought into this country. And this creates more trouble because these same officers will not, or people who are involved in the officers as mentioned, unnamed officers, are the ones who ensure that indigenous technology is never promoted. We might have indigenous technology that is up to par with what we are trying to import, but it is never promoted because this becomes lucrative. So the gap keeps remaining in all our defense systems. We keep on importing, we keep on shelling out a lot of our foreign currency over it.